In this interview, I have Austin from Aneta BTC, or also known as Frosty. He joins me to talk all about the project, a couple of questions that I wanted to clarify from my first video that I did about the project, which you can see in the top right-hand corner there if you want to learn more about Aneta BTC. But he goes through the protocol, how they started, the team itself, a couple of aspects around there. And we also talk about the NFT project that they launched as well last week. So this interview was recorded just before the launch of that NFT sale. It has already sold out. So if you were interested, you can find them on secondary marketplaces at the moment. But let's get into this interview.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast.
I have Frosty joining me from Aneta BTC, and this is going to be a really cool interview. I absolutely love this project. I love what these guys are doing. They even have an NFT project that's on the horizon as well, or actually minting at the moment. So I'm really looking forward to finding out all the details about this and digging into the project just that little bit more, and also answering some viewer questions as well. So thank you for submitting all these questions. Frosty, welcome to the podcast.
Pete, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right. So I really want to first get an understanding of how you got into the crypto space and how you ended up here creating wrapped assets, wrapped Bitcoin, and providing it onto the Cardano blockchain and Ergo.
So at least I've been aware of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin probably since 2017. Back when I was in high school is when I first heard about it, on the initial run up to 20,000, when the craze was at an all-time high at the time. I think I bought $300 worth at 20,000 back when I was just in high school, and that was my first introduction. And then later, a few years later, I had been exposed to Cardano probably about a year and a half ago at this point. And then ever since then, I've been learning as much I can about Cardano and trying to get involved with the community. And then really it was important for me to work on a project and to build a protocol that was meaningful for not only the Cardano and Ergo ecosystem, but hopefully the entire crypto space as a whole. And then, so, we're looking at sort of the skills that we had as a team and what we thought, how we could provide the most value to our community. And we realized that there was a huge need in the Cardano and Ergo space to have a wrapping protocol. The good thing about Ethereum, despite flaws in the underlying blockchain, is that it has a lot of these different decentralized finance applications that I think serve as a good benchmark for things that are necessary in our ecosystem. And which I think are even more important in our ecosystem, being that the underlying foundation is much stronger, in my opinion, and probably most people's opinion in our community. So that's sort of how we got involved with wrapping BTC, and we understood how important it was. And once we realized that, Bitcoin is the most valuable asset in the crypto space, and for the foreseeable future, it will be the dominating asset. So we knew how important it was for our community to bring that over and ultimately provide value for our community in that way.
Bitcoin definitely is the mainstay, I think, for majority of people, especially new people that are coming into the the cryptocurrency industry, that they've heard of Bitcoin. It's got a brand power behind it, whereas a lot of these other projects and coins and tokens, whatever, don't have that kind of weight as Bitcoin does. So totally understand why you want to bring wrapped assets over to Cardano. And the fact that you also mentioned Ethereum, they've had the wrapped Bitcoin for years. Years. So they've had a good leadway into this. So can you explain the difference between what Ethereum has done and what you guys plan to do?
Yes, 100%. So Ethereum for the last couple of years now has had a version of wrapped Bitcoin, and a very popular version of wrapped Bitcoin. And it's quite literally called wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped BTC. So I think even that causes some confusion because people, sometimes you're not really sure if we're talking about the actual wrapped Bitcoin or, the concept of wrapping Bitcoin as a whole. But so there's a project called Wrapped Bitcoin That was in large part created by our now partners at Kyber Network in tandem with Ren and BitGo. And it does a really effective job of actually being able to transfer that value of Bitcoin and being able to bring it over to Ethereum. But it does it in a very centralized way because Bitcoin is a very popular custodian, probably one of the largest in the world. And the key problem with that is that, the whole purpose of cryptocurrencies and blockchain and distributed ledgers is to have everything be completely decentralized. So it's, while Wrapped Bitcoin serves as, it's a great service for now, it's sort of just a stepping stone for the grand scheme of things and ultimately where we want to head as an industry.
You mentioned something really interesting there that I didn't realize. You said Kyber were involved in creating Wrapped BTC. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. They were and to be honest, I think, BitGo was just, they're the custodian. So in terms of the development, I think Kyber and Ren pretty much played like the largest role in the actual underlying development of the protocol. And yeah, Kyber is a very talented team. They've come up with many innovative solutions in our space, and they've sort of been pioneers. I think they were also the first people to implement this idea of a DMM and a dynamic market maker, where, the problem with these AMMs, such as say Uniswap, for example, is that you're only aggregating liquidity from one source. But basically, I think Kyber was the first people to actually implement a solution where instead of just aggregating that liquidity from one source, not only can you access liquidity from their DEX, but they can pull liquidity from all different decentralized exchanges across, I think, 5 or 6 different blockchains now. So they've done some really incredible things in the industry, and we're incredibly proud to be working with them.
Wow. I had absolutely no idea. And that is a pretty cool partnership to be able to work with them as well. It's some people that have had so much experience. Crypto is quite a young industry, really, but had so much experience in working and deploying something like that, and then having that background and knowledge to be able to put it into an Ether BTC. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I agree. I think, and perhaps at first, a lot of people, especially being that that part, and first off, we don't really have that many partnerships to begin with, right? So initially, a lot of people might have been thinking, okay, MintSwap makes sense. They're on Cardano. ErgoDex makes sense. They're Cardano and Ergo. Who are these Kyber people? And especially if you're only really familiar with Cardano and Ergo, maybe you haven't heard of Kyber before. And that was the big reason why it was so important for us to work with them, and why we wanted to work with them is that we know that they pretty much have the utmost experience in not only wrapping Bitcoin, but also the entire DeFi space as a whole. So to have them in our corner along with our other partners really means the world to us in terms of building the protocol.
That is absolutely crazy. I did look into Kyber. I thought, it was just Kyber Swap and it was just another DEX on another chain. So I thought that was it, but no, there's just so much more. It goes deep. So you've got this LISO that's happening, this liquidity initial stake offering. I think that's the correct acronym. So why did you go for this, and why are you trying to raise ADA for the project this way? Like, what's the idea behind it, and why are you guys doing it as a LISO?
Well, there's a few reasons. One, it really does help us to have this avenue for supporting our development. But I think people quickly realize the team itself isn't making a lot of money from this, or a lot of ADA from this, I should say, because out of all the rewards, only 10% is actually going back to us. So, I think right now we're averaging about 20 to 25,000 ADA per epoch. And of that, about 2,000 will go to reinvest into the protocol and pay our engineers. And the other, 18 to 23,000 is directly getting funneled back into the community fund. So I think the reason for that, a big objective for us the whole time is we are a wrapping protocol, and that is the top priority. But we understand that this is something that it takes a long time to build, and it's a very hard thing to build. And to do that, we have brought together what we think are some of the smartest people in the world to build the protocol. But we understand that in terms of providing value for our community, it doesn't stop there. So when we looked at Cardano's proof of stake mechanism and all the different things that can be facilitated through that, we think we came up with a unique way to provide a lot of value for our community while also building the protocol and building our other projects. So basically the concept of the LISO is that 90% of rewards that come in will be directly used to acquire the assets of what we think are all undervalued assets, and what we think, and also coincidentally are our partners. But the reality of the situation is, we are very selective with our partners and who we work with, and we think that we're working with the best teams in the industry, and that's our opinion. So it works out really great for us that we get to work with these people and that they're in our corner. But we also think that these are the best projects, and that is why we're working with them. So, and it's cool that we also get to support them through the community acquiring their assets. And we realize that through this mechanism, we could then not only just acquire their assets, but then we can use those underlying assets to then provide liquidity to their projects, which not only helps us earn more rewards, but also provides them with more liquidity and makes them stronger as well. So that was the main purpose of the LISO, is to have this mechanism where not only we're benefiting and not only the community is benefiting, but also our partners and our favorite projects are benefiting in their communities as well.
Okay, essentially helping each other grow through that process of earning that liquidity and putting things through the different mechanisms. That's a really good way of doing it as well. I think that was quite smart. And looking at the diagram of how you actually use the funds and how it's all split around, I think I mentioned in one of my other videos, it was a little bit overwhelming at first when you have a look at it, but when you break it down to its separate parts, totally makes sense. Now, there was one part of that I did want to dig into a little bit more, which some people have actually asked a little bit more about, and that's the DEX campaign side of it. So the staking part all made sense, the split and providing liquidity back and forth to the DEXs, but the whole area around the rewards around the DEX campaigns, etc., and the splits from the DEX, can you explain how that actually works? Are they like one-off events, or are they continuous things? What exactly is it?
Yes, that's a good question. So the DEX campaigns themselves are essentially like one-time events, I guess you could look at, which in large part are how usually, or at least traditionally, modern DEXs have gone about distributing their tokens. And it largely applies in this case to MinSwap and ErgoDex, being that, well, MinSwap now, the community is seeing that we're in the midst of their token distribution. But in KyberSwap's example, a lot of their tokens have been distributed, and they probably won't necessarily have a DEX campaign, being that their DEX has been running for a while. But as we're seeing with MinSwap right now, is a large majority of their token distribution is being incentivized to LP to the different pairs on their DEX, and in return for that, they're going to provide Mint tokens. So already we're seeing, I think the community fund, and we're planning to get an update out later today, has earned, I think, right around 21,000 Min just within the last 10 days or so.
Crazy.
From this liquidity that we, the ADA CNETA pair that we were able to provide. And the ADA is coming entirely from the LISO rewards. And then the CNETA, we had allocated 50 million CNETA and 50 million NETA to the community fund to now be able to LP this pair. And in return for that, earn a healthy bit of Min in return for our community. So it's cool to see that everything unfold before us, and we're starting to see, I think it's cool because even together as a community, we're starting to see the power of this, and how now not only holding NETA and CNETA is not only holding the underlying wrapping protocol, but it's now also holding these different tokens and our partners' tokens, which again, we think are some of the best projects in the ecosystem. So we're in the middle of MintSwap right now, and in the next couple of weeks, we'll see what ErgoDex has planned with their tokenomics. And so yeah, that's basically what we have planned going on. And ideally, it'll be something similar where we'll be able to participate in the campaign that ErgoDex has, and now earn ErgoDex rewards for our community.
Totally understand that now. Okay, so there's some other questions that have come through the community around the LISO as well. So I'll just fire these through, and we'll see how we go with these. Cool. So the first one, when do we get CNETA tokens for delegating to the LISO?
That's a good question. So right now, pretty soon, I mean, we're working pretty hard. We would have liked to distribute them as soon as possible when MintSwap launched. That would have been the ideal situation, because then, our community, just from the LISO rewards, would have been able to, seamlessly participate in providing liquidity to the Addis CNETA pair. But we're building our own faucet pretty much completely from scratch. So we have a team of engineers working on not only the claiming side, but also an airdropping side, and also not only for Cardano, but also for Ergo. So in terms of the faucet for claiming the CNETA rewards, we're building it right now, and our plan is to start allowing people to claim rewards early April. And we're still on pace for that. If anything changes, we'll continue to update the community. But the goal for that is there's a lot of different token distribution platforms. Or I shouldn't say a lot, but there's a few that we could have used. But ultimately, for claiming CNETA, we thought it would be nice if our community could pay the lowest fees possible that are set by the Cardano network, because a lot of, or most of these other services, rightfully so, you sort of have to pay a premium to use the service in the first place. But we understood that it might be really helpful for our community to be able to pay the lowest fee. And for claiming CNETA directly, we're not going to accrue any additional revenue from that. We're not going to charge a fee on top of that. But we do have plans for Tosi Drop long term. And Tosi Drop is the platform, by the way, that we're building. We do have plans long term to provide value for our community. And we think that this tool is not only important for us, but important for all projects in the ecosystem, because I think people underestimate the value of a wide token distribution. I think a large part of where the value is in this community is ensuring that many people have access to the token, and many people have a say in the token, in order to have, I guess, the best incentive to move the protocol forward, and to make sure that it can survive sustainably long term. And I think so far we've done a good job of that. I think we have over 40,000 token holders, NETA and CNETA combined. So we're very excited with how everything has sort of unfolded so far. And through the LISO and through Tosi Drop as a whole, we should be able to do a lot of cool token distributing of not only CNETA, but other tokens as well.
That's pretty exciting. The fact that you've gotten so many holders at the moment already, and so early in the project, is a really good sign and indicator that you have a lot of support from the community. So that's pretty cool as well. So now you've also got some loyalty bonuses in the LISO at the moment. And there was one that I mentioned in the video, and it was about a 2-month staking period where you can earn like 500 CNETA tokens. Now, there was a little bit of confusion about that. When did you have to start delegating to actually earn these, and what was the cutoff dates, because the documentation wasn't quite clear at that point in time. Can you elaborate on some of the details around that?
Yes. So, and the reason that I guess the documentation wasn't that clear is the fact that it's still ongoing. So people today can stake, I think we're in Epoch 328 or 329, might be 329 now. But regardless, and then so basically if they stake for 12 epochs, starting from today, then after that 12 epoch period, they'll then qualify for the 50% bonus of whatever their average amount staked was over that 12 epoch period. There was an initial bonus that we gave to all of the live delegators from the first epoch. just sort of as a thank you, where we are going to match the exact amount of ADA that they had delegated with us initially. And it's really important for us to take care of our community and to support the people that support us. So it's really cool to be able to do that. And now the active one is the 2-month bonus. And as you said, so we actually launched the first epoch to be eligible for staking with Neto 1 and Neto 2 was epoch 318. And epoch 330 is right around the corner, just in a couple of days. So now we're gearing up to launch LISO Part 2, where we'll explain the rewards for staking longer than 2 months. Now, and so initially this only applies for the people that had staked in 318 because they had staked for 12 epochs, and now they're ready for the rewards after that. But say someone that delegates today, they'll have the same rewards, but they'll have 12 epochs to stake. They'll get the 2-month bonus, and then they'll have the same rewards that we announce within the coming days.
All right. Okay. I think that's something that a lot of people are excited about, like all these little bonuses that you can get for loyalty. And like I think each time you keep on dripping in or releasing another like little loyalty bonus, okay, that one's over now, the 12 epoch one. Let's do another 6 one or 8 epoch one. I think gets people excited and keeps them engaged as well to find out what the next reward cycle is and what the bonuses are. So makes them more active in your community and active in the delegation process. Now, is there an actual end date to this entire LISO period, or is it an ongoing thing and you might keep it going as long as possible?
So that is currently ongoing. It's quite literally impossible to predict when it will end. But we do know that there's a set amount of tokens that we allocated for the LISO, and we're just going to keep running the LISO until all of those tokens are distributed. And a big part of our LISO too, a part of our approach was to do something very long-term. So at the current implementation, we have 2 pools right now, but the LISO can last for a few years actually at this rate. And ideally, we're very keen on doing something that is long-term, because with pretty much everything we do, we try to take a long-term approach. So some community members have asked, and I think in the initial LISO, we flat out said that we would open up a 3rd pool. But now we think we might just stay with the 2 pools for now. But we think the best decision is ultimately to leave it up for the community and put it to a vote. And if they think that it's in our best interest to open up a 3rd pool, then we'll look into it. But as for now, we think the long-term approach is the best thing to do to provide value to our community long-term. So that's our plan. So I think, but to answer the question, right now it's on pace to last a few years, at least 2 to 3 years.
It does show the dedication to the project and the continuous involvement of the community as well. That's really cool too. So in terms of the team itself, now you mentioned you formed like a really cool team, and I had a look over it as well. Some of the team members are from Kazakhstan, and I thought it was quite interesting how you made that connection there. How did this team form, and how did that relationship happen?
Yeah, so it's a very weird that how all of us got connected, and basically it's mutually through Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
How cool is that? That is awesome.
Yeah, very weird. I mean, and looking back, like once I started, sort of dissecting, like how did we meet all of these people through BJJ? I think it sort of makes sense to a certain extent, because what I've realized with, mixed martial arts in general and BJJ is that it attracts a certain type of person, because I think you have to be somewhat humble, because, you're getting choked out for like 2 hours straight. And, continuously showing up, even though knowing that, it can get hard and it can get difficult. And you sort of need to have that long-term vision of wanting to get better every day and ultimately striving towards a goal. And I think it's really applicable to our project too, because, we try to we do mimic that same long-term approach and realize that, sometimes you might get choked out, but, all you can do is show up every day and put the work in and try to get better. So that's sort of how we all met, from doing BJJ all over the world. And, every once in a while you meet a person from BJJ and then they have some friends and, you guys have a similar vision and you can start working hard together. So that's sort of like the mutual connection between all of us.
That is a really cool backstory. That's absolutely cool. I can't say I lasted too long in a BJJ class. In my second class, I got a cracked rib and I was out for like 6 weeks. So I didn't last too long, but I'm still in the Muay Thai classes and whatnot. So yeah, it's
awesome.
elbows and knees for me.
I'm working as hard as I can too. It's definitely not easy. And the community keeps making fun of me because they're like, Austin or, Prosty, when are you going to get your third stripe? And I'm like, guys, I'm trying as hard as I can. I'm showing up and I'm working hard, but we have a great time. And I think, it really does teach me a lot about life. And I'm, very excited to keep continuing that and another BTC as well.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right. So when can people start using this protocol? When can BTC users start swapping over? And then how's the development going? I'm assuming you've got to write a whole bunch of smart contracts and whatnot. What does that whole process look like for you guys at the moment?
Yeah. So for now, the biggest thing for the protocol is ensuring that the vaults are as secure as possible. If once the protocol has vaults that are as secure as they can be, the protocol itself, and in terms of like how everything is getting facilitated, is somewhat straightforward. And so right now the current plan is to start the testnet on, and our first plan is to build it on Ergo. We were initially considering, should we build on Ergo and build on Cardano at the same time and sort of divide and conquer, but we realized that with what we're trying to do, it really makes sense to focus on Ergo, and then after completing Ergo, then focusing on Cardano. And we're planning to be live on the Ergo testnet by Q3 is our current plan. And currently we're working with, we're very lucky to be able to work with the people that we work with, not only our partners, but also with Ergo Foundation and, bounce ideas off of each other. And there's currently 2 implementations that are most likely. One is to be implemented, and that is Xclaim's implementation of Wrapped Bitcoin. And then now what we're looking into is the Rosen Bridge. So we're still on place for Q3. We think that's a realistic timeline. But in terms of another really interesting aspect of the LISO is that because we're going to be acquiring Bitcoin, we understand that long term, the big question is, how do people trust the protocol and how do they ensure that it works? Because even myself, if I was a Bitcoin holder, I would be pretty skeptical of, just any protocol in general, but especially wrapping protocols, because as we know, this is a very hard thing to do. So a big part of our approach is, how do we create a situation that is secure as possible for the end user? And I think this is another effective place of where the LISO comes in, is because we're acquiring this Bitcoin, we should be able to have a decent amount of real Bitcoin that when the protocol is ready, in small bits, we'll be able to be the first people to use the protocol and to show the security of the protocol and build that trust over time. So the LISO also serves as a huge mechanism to ensure the security of the protocol. And we think the testnet should begin around Q3 is the current plan.
Brilliant. Okay. So this year we don't have too long to wait then. It's quite exciting to see. I'll be jumping over to Ergo and having a look at what the Ergo DEX is doing and probably jumping into their DEX campaign event as well, to provide liquidity, get some extra tokens and whatnot. So it sounds pretty exciting that it's all launching and looking pretty cool there. Now, 2 questions out of that. Why Ergo first? And then when Cardano?
So I guess Ergo for a lot of different reasons, or for a few different reasons. It's cool that Ergo has a lot of these different built-in privacy features of the protocol. And there's a lot of community-built tools that also, I think, are in line with our mission. And also the composability of the programming on Ergo is very ideal. It's also nice too that we're able to work so closely with the Ergo Foundation and to sort of have them in our corner to bounce ideas off of each other and to make sure that everything is being done with the utmost security and correctness. So those were a few reasons why it just made a lot of sense to use Ergo. And we love Cardano so much. Cardano is awesome, which is why also after Ergo, we're going to build on Cardano. But it made a lot more sense to focus on that.
Yeah, especially when you have the foundation like helping you through the process and providing all the support that they can give you. It's a win-win for both parties there. So I can definitely see why.
100%.
Okay, all right. We've gone through all the questions I had and everything from the community as well. Now, the last thing I wanted to learn a little bit more about is this NFT drop that you've got. This the cute angel that you've got going out. What is the story behind that one? You're just launching something in the community. Is there utility behind it? And how can people get their hands on it?
Well, I'm super excited about the Aneta Angels project for a few reasons. One, I think, well, most importantly, I really needed a new profile picture. I think that was the most important thing.
That's the whole reason why you set up a whole NFT project, just for so you can have a profile.
I was like, all right, I need one profile picture. Like, how are we going to do this the most effective way possible? But so a few different reasons. One, I really love our community, and it's really cool that the strong, loving, supportive community that we've been able to build. And I thought it would be cool to sort of have I mean, I don't want to say like a token of appreciation, no pun intended, but to sort of have like a symbol of what it meant to be a part of the community and what we stand for, and to sort of have at least strengthen the bond that we all have and be able to sort of rally behind these pictures. And in the process, I think because of our project, we're able to provide really cool utility with these NFTs. And I think some projects have done a good job of, taking that step to really provide cool utility. I think, and we're starting to see the NFT space develop a lot and evolve a lot, where, you remember, like, was it 5 or 6 months ago at this point when like every person had an NFT project, and it was like, oh, like tacky tables or something like that, or
yeah.
And from that, now it's been able to evolve to not only a collection that everyone can enjoy, but also financially benefit from. And it's cool that it's able to be done in the form of our Liso. So I think it's a really cool job. It's a really cool way to continue to build our community, to get more awareness about us, and also benefit and provide value to our community.
That's absolutely awesome. Now, how can listeners find out more about that particular NFT drop?
So right now, and I'm not sure when this video will be live, but later today, we're going to do the actual mint. And yesterday, we had to postpone the mint, which was completely my fault. It was just poor communication with the team. But I'm going to get better. And like I said, I'm going to show up every day and learn from my lessons and not make them again. But it was super cool. And I think, it was really touching for me to see the community's reaction for their support. And, they showed a lot of love to me, which was really cool. And, I don't take that for granted at all. So actually today now, as the public mint is ready to go, all systems are a go, and we're about to announce when this is out. But outside of that, a a lot of these NFTs should be available on JPEG Store and a lot of the different NFT platforms that are available. And probably my favorite part of the project, well, aside from my profile picture, that's definitely my favorite, but is that we have a 5% royalty on these different platforms, and 100% of these royalties are directly funneled back into the community fund. So again, this is just another way for us to provide long-term value for the community fund and all of our token holders. So, and I think currently the volume so far in JPEG Store was close to 40,000 ADA. So already that's, you know, a few thousand ADA that have been generated for the community fund. And, you know, same with everything we do. The NFTs are also a very long-term play for us. So right now we have utility with the Lisos that, and, you know, as we know, the Liso is right now on pace to last a few years. But even after that, these NFTs are going to serve utility in multiple ways for our holders. We haven't exactly figured out all the details, but we pretty much already know that this is going to be a long-term play where this not only builds value for our community within the next years, months and years, but hopefully beyond that, and continuing to not only provide benefits to the people holding it, but also encouraging trading and volume and different utility there so that we can continue providing more value for the community fund, which ultimately will go back to the token holders.
Absolutely brilliant. All right. I'll see if I can get my hands on one of them and fill it into my delegation wallet where I'm delegating to Neta One, I think it is. All right. Absolutely excellent. Well, Frosty, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and learning more about the protocol and NetaBTC, and also a little bit about the NFT project. I'm looking forward to checking out your profile pic as well.
Yeah, please do. And Pete, thank you so much for having us on. I mean, I can't express how grateful I am, not only for you know, the opportunity to do this interview, but also the first video that you did for us was just so amazing. And like you said, you know, I think everyone could tell that that wasn't something that was just like whipped together in a day. You know, that obviously took a lot of time and a lot of effort. So I really appreciate you doing that for us and everything you're providing for the community. So thank you.
And thank you for working and showing up every day as well.
That's right.
And I'm looking forward to getting my hands on one of those sweatshirts, those hoodies that you got there too.
Soon. You'll be one of the first to get it for all your work. That's awesome.
Absolutely brilliant. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Pete. Have a good day.
How great was that interview? Absolutely love this project, and I am so grateful that I could talk to Austin and learn more about NetaBTC, how it actually formed, and how cool are they working with Kyber and being able to actually tap into that experience and all those skills in regards to their team, having worked in the industry for so long and being able to integrate and to have interoperable connections in other ecosystems, and now bring those skills and knowledge over to Ergo and over to the Cardano blockchain as well. It's absolutely amazing to see that. And I'm also really looking forward to be able to have BTC brought into the Cardano ecosystem as well, not only from my own BTC that I hold, but also other BTC holders that are wondering how they can get into the Cardano ecosystem easily without having to sell their BTC. So they have a way in and out, which is quite seamlessly available to them. So we're looking forward to these things. Wrapped assets are coming to Cardano. One of those really key things that will really drive up the TVL, the total value locked into Cardano, into the ecosystem itself. Now, for total disclosure, I do hold CNETA tokens as well, so I am quite excited about the project. I have provided liquidity for CNETA on MinSwap and all that as well. You may have seen it in my other videos. Now, if you do like this type of content, all the content that I bring around the Cardano ecosystem, please consider giving me that thumbs up, click the subscribe button, and click on that notification bell, and you hear more from me real soon. See you in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debating.